before we get into some free agent targets for your Chicago Bears, subscribe to the channel. We got almost 29,000 subs here on Bears Now, or I should say we're starting to get closer. Crossed 28,000 last week, 28,193 videos every single day on this channel. The latest Bears news, rumors, free agent type of stuff, just like this segment. Hit that big red button and subscribe today. Let's take a look at some free agent targets. We'll start with Morgan Moses, a player who obviously visited the Bears recently. Also visited the Jets, so keep that in mind as well, following his release by the Washington football team just a couple of weeks ago. I'm very interested in signing Morgan Moses, 15th ranked offensive tackle according to Pro Football Focus in 2020, and he can play both spots. So you sign Moses, you start him at right tackle. Say Teven Jenkins struggles early on at left tackle. You can just flip him. You can put him at left, put Jenkins at right, makes Jermaine Ifedi your swing tackle, which I think is much more valuable for him. Go get Morgan Moses. I'm so down for this. Now, if he's asking for 10, 11 million bucks, okay, I get it. You don't have that type of money. I did read I'll call it a report in quotes there. I saw some chatter on Twitter. Oh, he wants 8 million bucks. It's kind of on the fringe for me. I'd like to get him for more like 6, especially at this point in free agency, but if he's going to hold out for 8 or 9, maybe you aren't realistic for him. But if you can get him for 6, heck, even 7, go sign him, because that gives you much more credibility and much more flexibility on your offensive line. I think you are mostly set on the interior. I think Whitehair and Daniels can hold it down at guard. I think Mustipher proved last year and has earned the opportunity to show if he can be the long-term answer at center. Teven Jenkins at left tackle, I think at worst, you move him back to right and he plays well there. Ideally, he's good there. And then Morgan Moses is your right tackle. And again, Jermaine Ifedi becomes your swing tackle in that scenario. I am in on signing Morgan Moses. How about you guys? Should the Bears sign Morgan Moses? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Nah, not interested. Type P if that is you. I've made it clear. I want to get the offensive tackle that got released by Washington, but go ahead and let me know what you guys think. Another offensive tackle, Russell Okung, who remains available in free agency. Veteran left tackle, remains unsigned, has dealt with injuries the past couple of years. I think that's a big reason why to why he hasn't been signed, I should say. He's also like 33. He's getting older. He's got a few years on Moses, for example, at this point. But if you want to go a cheaper route, this is more of an insurance policy for Teven Jenkins. I think if you signed Russell Okung, it would be primarily to get him into training camp, see how Jenkins holds up in the preseason. If you're like, I don't know if he's ready to play left tackle, you kick him back to right, and you start Okung at left. If Jenkins is ready, maybe Okung doesn't make the roster, or you put him at right, or he's your swing tackle as well. You certainly have options there if you sign Okung. I would rather sign Morgan Moses, but what do you guys think? Who do you want to sign out of these two players? Type MM for Morgan Moses, type RO for Russell Okung. Get your votes in. I like Morgan Moses quite a bit, but if you want to go the cheaper route, you can type your RO for Russell Okung. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball now. Steven Nelson, your top corner at this point on the open market, at least outside corner. Maybe Richard Sherman, but with the injury and the age, I think you could argue Nelson is a better player at this point. Now, the Bears had some interest reportedly in Bashaud Breeland, but he signed with Minnesota for only $4 million. So I'm not convinced the Bears are in the market for a corner, because that's a pretty cheap penny for Breeland, in my opinion. But I would still like to add another outside corner. I don't trust Desmond Trufant. I just don't. Like, he was bad last year when he played. He was hurt as well. He's getting older. If he's fully healthy and playing close to his peak, sure, like, Trufant's fine. But that's a lot of wishful thinking. Steven Nelson's a guy who was healthy last year, and played pretty darn well. 2 picks, 9 pass breakups. That'll play in the NFC North. I like that quite a bit. Whereas Trufant, sure, he had a pick in just 6 games, but you go to the advanced numbers, his coverage stats they're just piss poor. I mean, there's just no way around it. He did not play well for the Detroit Lions. Maybe part of it was scheme, maybe most of it was due to injuries, but I think Steven Nelson instantly is a better option than Desmond Trufant for this secondary. And honestly, if that happens, I think you probably just cut Trufant, because if he's not going to start, why is he going to be on the roster? We'll see what happens. I would definitely like to get another outside corner on this Bears roster. Now, I want to encourage you guys to download the News Break app because if you like keeping up with local news, weather, sports, politics, and much more, do it all in one feed. It all is on your phone. Just download the app today at chatsports.com/BearsNB. And hey, we got to get more downloads on this app. I had a meeting with the bosses this morning, and all was roses and petals and everything flying around. And then as I'm walking out the door, they said, "Oh, by the way, we need 10 News Break downloads today, or else." And I was like, "Or else? Whoa! Like, is my job in jeopardy?" I don't think that's the case, but I don't want to find out what the hell they were talking about. Chatsports.com/BearsNB. That link will redirect you to your app store on your phone. Help me out. I want to keep doing videos for you guys. Let's get 10 News Break downloads today on your mobile device. Let's go to another corner here. Brian Poole, who's more of a nickel corner. He's definitely the top nickel still on the market. Obviously, the Bears moved on from Buster Skrine this offseason to clear some cap space. He dealt with some concussion issues last year as well. I think the nickel job is pretty much open for grabs with this Chicago Bears secondary. I think the only surefire thing is that Jalen Johnson will be one of your outside starting cornerbacks. After that, who the hell knows? Desmond Trufant, if he's healthy, I guess he's your favorite to start at CB2. Nickel, Duke Shelley, Kendall Vildor, Thomas Graham. I think all three of those guys will get an opportunity to compete and possibly start at the nickel spot. I'd give Shelley the slight edge because that's where he played down the stretch last year for the Bears, so he got those reps. But Poole's clearly an upgrade. I mean, two tackles for loss, 2 picks, 7 pass breakups a year ago. He can come off the edge a little bit as well. He's got some versatility. I like his game quite a bit. I don't know what his market is, but at this point in free agency, guys aren't going to cost that much. So if you could get a Brian Poole for like $3.5 million or something like that, he's a nickel corner, and we're in the month of June. He may not be very expensive, and if that's the case, at just 28 years old, I think that's a very, very good bargain for the Chicago Bears. Predict it for me. You can base it on free agents or guys currently on the roster. I don't really care. Predict the Bears' 3 starting quarterbacks. If you had to ask me today, I'm going to say Jalen Johnson, Desmond Trufant, and Duke Shelley. Not great compared to last year. Hopefully they sign someone. Predict it for me. Who will be the Bears' 3 starting corners in 2021? A couple more players here. Melvin Ingram, a player we've talked about a couple of times here. I think something's going on here with him because he's made multiple visits across the NFL, and he can't get a deal. He remains unsigned in free agency. His medical situation may not be checking out. He had some injuries last year. He did not play effectively at all, had 0 sacks in 7 games for the Los Angeles Chargers, which is obviously a major drop-off from a guy who had 14 sacks in the 2 prior seasons. 7 sacks in 2018, 7 sacks in 2019, 0 sacks in 2020. He just may not be healthy. And if that's the case, okay, that's fine. Don't bring him in here if he's not healthy. But if you think he is, you think he can be 80% of what he used to be, well, bring him in. Maybe he challenges Robert Quinn. You never know. You can't have enough pass rushers. I'm not convinced he's healthy. I think that's why he's unsigned. But there's still time before training camp and before the season. A guy that I probably have more interest in, quite frankly, is Justin Houston. People thought he was cooked after the 2018 season when the Chiefs decided to cut ties with him. Indianapolis signs him, and he has 19 sacks in 2 years with the Colts. Fits really well as a pass rusher in 3-4 schemes. That's what he played in Kansas City back in 2018. He did really well for years with the Chiefs' defensive scheme. And fully healthy, even at 32 years old, I think he can push Robert Quinn for playing time. Robert Quinn better play better this year. It's as simple as that. He has got to be a better football player. I don't think there's anything he can do to justify the contract that Ryan Pace gave him, but he's got to be better than this. He's got to be better than 2 sacks. I mean, that was just brutal. Justin Houston, playing for way less, had 8 sacks. That's a noticeable difference, guys. Robert Quinn must be a better pass rusher for the Bears because he doesn't do much against the run for you, which Houston doesn't really either, but he's a much better pass rusher in terms of production this past season. So hopefully, if they don't sign an edge rusher like a Ingram, like a Justin Houston, then hopefully Quinn bounces back because last year just the production was unacceptable due to the type of contract he got from Chicago. So there's 6 players. Let me know what you guys think. Who should the Bears sign before training camp, which is going to get going at some point in July? Name a player you would like to see the Bears add in free agency.